Welcome to r/Tales from Tech Support, where we get to have a little chuckle at the technologically disadvantaged. Like me. I'm Uncle Reddit, and have I got a story for you. Well, happy Monday. Well, it's Sunday night for me, but I gotta have this ready for you guys that get up and actually do work for a living. I think my mom would have liked that. Keeping this simple and short, customer brought in a totally ancient beige box asking for some help about how the computer would boot to a blinking cursor and hang there. Turns out that said beige box was running on MS-DOS, and his blinking cursor problem was DOS finishing the boot process and idling at C:. This fellow had apparently bought over an SME and was going through their assets to see which could be reused or liquidated. Sent him back without any charges since there was nothing to fix. Though we wondered what kind of business would still have a working DOS box lying around in 2021, and I was very tempted to ask him to give it to me, if only because my mom used to do accounting and word processing on DOS in the early 1990s. It would have made a nice gift for her. Or not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure your mom would want to be reminded of all that. For years, my mom was a legal secretary, and that was before everybody became a paralegal. Basically, she was a paralegal before there was such a term, but anyway, I'm not sure getting her an old piece of office equipment that would remind her of the daily grind that she had to go through would be a really good gift or sort of just mean. What do you think? Cleaning the computer is too high-tech for me. I'm not an IT guy from any official standpoint, just have a bit of know-how about computers. Before this year, I would have said that my knowledge of IT was just a bit above average. But damn, college taught me that a majority of the population couldn't do the most basic computer maintenance to save their life. My group's mates for a class were complaining that their computers were overheating, and so I asked them if they had tried spraying air into the fans. They looked at me as if I was speaking an alien language, and responded with, "That's too high-tech for me." I was completely dumbfounded by that response, but silently decided that I should be the one to solve future IT problems for the group. Yeah, it's amazing how many people can't do basic things like, blow the dust out of their cooling fans and things like that. I just think that should be one of the basic things taught in school. I mean, computers, since the late 90s, well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, even since 2005, have been a part of daily life in one way, shape, or form. Sometimes, you had to send emails or fill out forms, whatever. Computers and computer equipment, digital equipment, I mean, it's just kind of part of life. Of course, schools never even really taught you how to fill out a checkbook right when, we used to write dollar amounts on pieces of paper and give them to people for payment. Now everybody just swipes and looks at me like I've got a third eye if I write a check for anything, so I kind of save all my checks for just paying the building rent. But yeah, that should be something that's taught pretty standard in schools these days, I would think. Meh. I don't know how to get Google. Troubleshooting a bad credit union site cert over the phone with a bit of a surprise. So this older lady that I helped who had a bad monitor a while back, something clearly smacked into it, and yeah, it was no good. I told her how to get a new one and such, but she has my number now. She calls me about an hour ago, all freaked out, like in a panic. Her credit union site is showing a bad cert warning, but she's convinced she's been hacked. I use a Mac. I thought those were safe. She had called the credit union and they were no help. Me, can you tell me the address in the address bar? Old lady, I don't know what that is. It says name of credit union. Me, I use the same credit union and I fire it up and it's fine. I read out the URL to her and ask her if she sees that. Her, she says yes but reads hers back wrong. She's like 80 plus years old. She's like, I'm kind of freaking out. I wish I had smoked some weed to calm down. For real. Me, thinking maybe she's got a bad cache on Safari or the wrong address without HTTPS, and explaining that over the phone isn't going to work. So can you go to Google? Old lady, I don't know how to get to Google. Me, how do you get to your bank? Old lady, I'm not sure. I clicked the button. Me, okay, if you were going to search for something, what would you do? Old lady, I type in what I want into this thing. Me, okay, type the name of the credit union in there. Old lady, oh, you mean DuckDuckGo? Me, yes, DuckDuckGo. Amazing. Old lady, oh, I see links to credit union. Me, click on any of those links. Old lady, oh, no more warning and I'm logged into. Me, that's great. So you probably just had something wrong, but you're not hacked. Please just do this if you need to get to your credit union from now on. No way I'm trying to figure out what button she pushes or how to fix whatever link it is over the phone. She was so happy. I'm like, man, if I would have said, can you duck it? That would have been a lot easier. Cracked me up. She's making me a pie. Edit. Just as an add-on, she totally called the credit union about this and they were zero help at all, which I told her was pretty bogus. Then I was like, well, I use that credit union and they have a pretty good Android/iPhone app that I use a lot. And she was like, oh, I don't have one of those phones. Mine flips. I was like, okay, don't worry about it. Bless her heart. Yeah, my dad used a flip phone right up until the day he died. He had no interest in a smartphone whatsoever. He liked the idea of it. I mean, I would show him stuff with mine and it was cool and all, but yeah, between his vision being weird and his hands being shaky, he just wasn't even going to try it. He didn't trust it at all. Or maybe he just didn't trust himself with it. The old lady sounds pretty cool, man. I hope you got your pie. Somebody's being nosy. If I'd have known he was coming, I would have put up the cat cam. Hey, boy. What are you doing? Hey, Paul. What are you doing? What are you doing, boy? Let's go, kitty. You being nosy? Teacher doesn't know what a mouse looks like. Blames IT. So this happened about 15 years ago when I worked at a primary and secondary school. I was happily typing away at my computer when a student knocks on our basement office door. Student. IT, Miss X can't get her mouse working. Me. Let's go check it out. I quickly go with the student to Miss X's classroom. Mrs. X. About time. That's the first red flag. I internally want to swear. I came the moment the student came and got me. I try to just get to her desk to look at the issue. She has an Acer computer on her desk that is connected to a screen and projector. The mouse were wireless, so most likely it could just be the battery. Mrs. X. The mouse on this student computer isn't working, so my smartboard isn't working and it's costing me valuable teaching time. Your systems are terrible. Me. I'm sorry. I want to tell her to shut up. This always happens. Call me up, complain I'm late, and then make me wait while you bitch so I can fix the problem. Mrs. X. Don't be sorry, just fix it. And next time you upgrade systems, make sure they work before you leave. Me. Okay. I had long since given up trying to explain to people when and how we upgrade. Her last upgrade had been about 6 months prior, but if I had told her that, she would have either refused to believe it or complained that the issue was she hadn't been upgraded since then. I take one look at her desk and instantly see the issue. The mouses we used were dark blue and wireless, and annoyingly, the whiteboard erasers were also dark blue. I quickly, and hiding my action from the students, switch the two so that she doesn't look bad. I then flip the mouse over and check its buttons on the bottom. Then put it back and show that it's working. Me. All fixed, just needs to be turned off and on. Mrs. X. Why? Before I can come up with an answer, a student says, "You were using the eraser." And cue all the kids laughing. Me. I'm sorry, I tried my best to hide it. Mrs. X. Students, quiet. I tell her it's all fixed and feel free to let me know if I can help any further. She simply nods and lets me go. I get back to my office and tell my manager what happened. I also write her an email apologizing for not being able to hide the swap of eraser and mouse better. It may have been funny, but I tried my best to protect staff from being laughed at by students. Later that day, I head off and sleep, returning the next day to a meeting request from her, head of junior, and my manager. Turns out that she had made a formal complaint that I made her look bad. My manager tells me to refuse the meeting and he'll go in my place. I don't know what was said there, but my manager basically told me that she was complaining that I didn't just go in and get a spare mouse to save her from looking bad, and that by doing what I did I undermined her ability in the classroom and had ruined her credibility with the students and parents. She was furious that my manager had stopped me from coming, though he counted it all, stating to her and the head of junior that blaming IT for stupid mistakes won't be tolerated, and that if she wants he will happily take her complaint to the principal, though we'll make it clear that I had done my best to hide her stupidity. She dropped the complaint and was friendly to me from then on, though I could tell she didn't like me. Wow, what a miserable human being. That's incredible. Just nose in the air, stuck up, ruined her credibility. She did that all by herself. That's why the students laughed at her to begin with. You know, mistakes happen, and students are gonna chuckle and kind of make fun of it, but it's usually in a joking manner if you're a reasonable person. If you're an evil person, they're gonna laugh at you. Word processors do to words what food processors do to food. More of a salutary lesson than a funny story. I support a suite of products that produce a large volume of data which can be stored and or exported to Kafka? I don't know. The Kafka exports have JSON-based filter rules. I know I'm not saying any of this right, just bear with me. Allowing you to set up streams of interest. Following a difficult install at customer, we set about applying their customizations as handed down from the sales team. All went well until we hit the addition of one of the above Kafka filter rules. Parser says it's not valid JSON. Read it through carefully. Couple hundred lines in the filter. Looks good. Run Python mjson.tool filter.json. I don't know. Gives error on line 146. Expected property name. Look at 146. It's perfectly valid JSON. It's the start of the first filter that sales added to the default set, and the line is just property name value. In Vim, unindent the file and realize above filter remains pretty printed. Next we realized that the new filter had been sent in the body of a mail and was so formatted by Outlook and space became non-breaking space in the body of the filter, someone had pasted into the file from Outlook. Deleted all NBSP and filter was read fine. Never put code or formatted data in the body of an email. Thus endeth the first lesson. All of that, every bit of it, was way over my head. Hopefully at least a couple of you guys got it. No one told me it needed to be plugged in. I do industrial commissioning for equipment, usually low and medium voltage. I have to travel a lot and I do all sorts of projects, from port cranes to mine elevators, steel mills, paper mills, solar sites, etc. I was coming back from a job and my connecting flight was through the US. My plane lands and immediately the airline is paging me. I go to the desk and they tell me that someone is frantically trying to get a hold of me. It's my supervisor. He needs me to get on a different plane. A site had been commissioning. The PLC guys left, only now they're down and it's a big fiasco. I remind my boss that I'm not really a PLC guy, mostly drives and motors. He needs someone there ASAP, so I go to at least figure out what the problem actually is. When I arrive, the facility has a lot of people in suits and ties because apparently this was to be the initial light off of the production line, so boss is from overseas. I find a manager and ask him the issue. He just points to a room and tells me to fix it. So I walk to the room and find the PLC rack. The power supply to it is disconnected, just laying there on the bottom of the panel. So I find the breaker and turn it off. Then I mount it and turn it on. Green lights look good. Walk out and ask them to try it. System works. People are very happy. The one manager comes to me and asks me how I fixed it. I plugged it in. That's it? Well, I'm not paying you for 5 minutes of work. Of course not. You owe me travel time as well. I never got a straight answer as to who disconnected the power supply. I offered and gave some free training to a couple of technicians to try and prevent this from happening again. Turns out they had a computer, but no one knew how to get into it or use the program. So I spent a few hours helping those folks out. How to refer to drawings, the overall protection scheme, and whatnot. But it was not prepared and I was figuring out stuff as I went. I contacted my boss and explained how little the techs know and they need help, to which he replied the end user refuses to pay for training. So technically I shouldn't have done any sort of training. But at the end of the day, these techs were stuck on an island. Very nice and respectful to me because they weren't stupid. They just realized how clueless they were. Their boss, though, he made it very clear I was never to be back there again. Well, that manager must be fun at parties. Expect someone to drop everything and get over there ASAP to fix an issue that they themselves probably caused. This is what happens when you cheap out. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, click this one on the screen. I think you'll like that one too. See ya!